Hey, welcome to the channel. I'm Dave Sears. Today I'm visiting Jenna Industries Limited in Courtenay BC, Canada. And we have Dane, Operations Manager. Tell us what you're doing here, Dane.
Hey Dave, so we're taking these old off-highway trucks and fully modernizing them, rebuilding them, taking them right down to the frame rails, and bringing them into the 21st century. This one here has a 3408, the one next to it has a C15, and then the two down at the end have 3408s. All the ones with the 3408s have Allison 6061 transmissions. The one with the C15 actually has an old 18 speed, which is, I actually find it kind of fun, but it might get old if you're using it every day.
Yeah.
They all have Clark 91s. And as you can see, we changed the headache design from factory. So originally they had big steel headache racks with water tanks, and the water tanks would cool the brakes for steep downhill descents. What we're using these trucks for is heavy hauling in mines and virtually flat ground, so we don't need that water tank anymore. So we utilize the space we got the fuel in there, and then we got cabinet spaces for chains and whatnot. You got all your hookups for the low bed, so we have what's called a wet kit that goes to the low bed, which you can hydraulically use ramps if your low bed has that. And another very neat feature on these trucks that they don't do anymore, and I haven't seen it on any other trucks other than the Kenworth Pacifics and Hayes, is this fifth wheel moves up and down. So when you go to back up or drop off a low bed, you just lift the fifth wheel up, pick the low bed up, and take your blocks out from the low bed, and there's no more jacking.
And the cab of this Kenworth 850. What are some of the modern features you've added to these trucks?
Yeah, so we've added our vintage air unit, which has air conditioning and heat all in one unit. It used to be up in the roof, so that's kind of a nice change. They don't leak from the roof anymore, and they're less bulky. We've got this screen here, which has 3 cameras. We've got a front camera, a side view camera, and a backup camera, which is pretty handy in a truck this size. It's nice to see what you're coming up to.
Absolutely, good one.
Yeah, and then we go to our touchpad, which isn't labeled yet, but we got all our lights and our PTO on and off switch on there. And then we go down here, and here's our PTO lever to move the fifth wheel up and down, which is nice when you're hooking up to a trailer. And then this isn't necessarily a modern feature, but it's a neat feature, the air shifter. We've done a couple trucks where we actually have the shifter on a touchpad with the newer transmissions, but I sure like this. It's a neat option that they had, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
good one. Right, they sound pretty cool, those air shifters too, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yep. And so this truck has a retarder in it also?
Yes,
That's
it does.
Part of the Allison's transmission to slow things down for you instead of using your brakes?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
And we change out the floor with the aluminum checker plate. It just cleans it up, and quite like the look of it.
Yeah, it looks great in here.
Also, we changed the dashes. They're stainless steel. They're not stainless steel from the factory, but it's a brushed stainless steel.
Here's a quick look at what's behind the dash. This is a C15 Caterpillar in one of their Kenworth 850s.
hi Dave, thanks for coming down to Jenna Industries today. My name's Sean Karashuk. Basically, our builds start this way, with what you see here. This one here is a Pacific. I believe this is a 1978 with a 12V71 in it. That's another Pacific, almost identical to this, but owned by a different company at the time. Each company had its own different colors and color schemes and certain variances to whatever the customer wanted the day for logging. Beside it here we have Hayes HDX, and there's actually a demand, particularly these days, particularly in mining. They use these trucks basically for heavy haul with low bed combinations.
Well, let's go in back to the shop and see
let's
where
go
it all
for a walk
starts.
around and I'll give you a rundown on how we start.
Okay, what's this building and what's the truck?
Well, basically what we got here is another P16 that, as you can see, has been completely disassembled as the ones we just saw in inventory. Basically, it's been sandblasted, primed, and now this step here is kind of a welding bay that we use. So our welder will go through the frame, check for any cracks or fish plating or anything that might be required for repairs. This is kind of our initial process in the beginning of the build. As you can see, it's still a rolling chassis, but we're going to take you down to another bay here shortly, and where the process continues, where we strip it down to the bare frame, basically. All the components come off. So this is basically a welding bay for metal repairs.
Okay, let's go check out the other bay.
All right.
So what's happening in this shop?
Well, basically what we have here is one of our paint booths for components when we break the unit down into smaller pieces. I figured this would be a good opportunity to show your viewers exactly the extent that we go through in the builds. This is, for example, a cab we'll use in the future, but as you can see, it's stripped down with just bare metal, there's nothing in it. And we'll basically paint it, get it all prepped, and then we'll show you in a minute here the next steps of putting the builds together. When it comes to this stage in this bay, we tear the frame, as you saw, the one that was primered in the paint or the sandblasting and welding bay over there, is we'll take all the components off. Everything stripped down to minute pieces. So everything's gone through, and from there build the truck up with either replacement brand new components or components that are already used in the vehicle but are like good to spec, so as new as it can be. So basically replace everything on the vehicle. And this is probably, I'm going to say, a third of the way through the build, as you can see now.
Right, and that's the Pacific P16 behind
It
you?
is another P16, yeah.
Okay,
correct.
Let's head over to the cab and see what stage that's at.
All right.
Wow, that's looking good. So this cab's just about done then?
We're getting there. I would say it's about 50% complete. So as you've seen the example of the one in the paint booth over there, it looks a lot different. So this is where we install all brand new wiring, all new air systems, lights, and basically it's about halfway through now.
Nice,
So,
looking good. So what's going on here, Sean? You got all the panels off and stuff?
well, what's going on here is the last few days I was putting plumbing in the air system on it, as you can see. Ramel, our other chief mechanic here, he's kind of our wiring guru. He's very good at it. And yeah, so basically, as you can see, it's all new air lines, air systems, air boards. It's all brand new stuff.
Okay, so you've got when the cab's all ready, what's the next step?
Well, basically, we have the components that have been rebuilt, like the transmission behind you, that Ellison 6061. Like I said, the cab's about halfway completed. So shortly here, what we'll do is we'll start finishing off the frame as far as the air system's concerned, all the lines and valves required. Then we'll install the transmission, install an engine, install the cab, and then basically from there, it's final assembly. Headache racks and hooking up auxiliary wiring systems or whatever is required to, as you met Dane earlier, it turns into the final product that you've seen outside there.
So when you're building these trucks for different specifications, a customer can ask for different levels or something like that? How does that work, Sean?
Yeah, we like to call it like a bronze, silver, and gold levels. So basically it's up to the customer and what he really desires, how much money he wants to spend. Like for instance, a lot of our builds out there, they're completely gone through as I explained. But we give the customer the option of, we'll do a truck, we'll go visually inspect it, take some of the final drives apart, take all the oil samples, for a lot lower costs, if that's what the customer, so chooses. For an example of that, this transmission right here, we prefer to rebuild the transmissions, all of them in our builds, but some customers don't want to acquire the cost of that, so they'll say to us, can we just get a dynoed and do oil samples and pressure checks and go from there at a considerably less cost than actually taking the transmission apart and starting from brand new again. So we do give the customers an option they're the customer, so whatever they want, we provide.
Great.
So we also in these builds too, custom builds, we can have sleeper cabs on them, which we've had people inquire about, even, believe it or not, turn one of these vehicles into a full-size service vehicle for field service in a big mine or an application like that. So there's a lot of avenues we can do and move in this direction with these old vehicles.
Right.
It's a fun project.
Yeah. Well, thanks for explaining that. It's really cool stuff, Sean. Thanks.
Thank you.